Hello and welcome to the Back Row Steelers Show, part of the Back Row Fantasy Show family of podcasts. Let's talk about what this podcast is going to be about. Pretty simple. All things Steelers. I'm going to talk player and coach news, real football implications. So basically what's going on, how it's going to relate to the Steelers on the field, off the field, if it has to do with hirings, firings, whatever happens with the coaches. Fantasy implications, and we're going to have occasional guests every now and then with some people that love to talk Steelers football. In season, we will be doing a minimum of a weekly podcast. So we're going to get ready with, get going here with episode 1. I'd like to say a huge thank you for giving me the opportunity and motivation to get a podcast going. So thanks a lot, Back Row. With that being said, let's get to talking. First and foremost, let's talk about Big Ben returning. He seems to be pretty healthy. He says he's throwing good. Everything looks fine. He's on track. Says he wants to be out there throwing the ball, ready to go for preseason. I don't know. I don't feel that we necessarily need to rush Big Ben back. It's not necessarily something that the Steelers need to do. I think if we give him a chance to actually heal up, maybe get started a week or so into the season, that would probably be the best thing for him. I know he's eager to try to get back and prove himself. He's got a little competition behind him, and then the Steelers potentially drafting a quarterback. I could see that maybe happening. We'll talk about that a little later. So let's continue to talk quarterbacks. Mason Rudolph, he's apparently been out in California playing a little catch with Juju Smith-Schuster, and he's been out there working on the chemistry, and we'll see how that goes. I have a strong feeling that Mason Rudolph is probably going to start the season. Otherwise, he wouldn't be out there doing stuff with Juju right now. We're going to talk about, let's see, Pittsburgh might draft a quarterback. They do have the Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges, and Paxton Lynch just hanging out back there. I can't see them keeping all 4 of these guys on the team. So somebody's going to be on the practice squad. Not quite sure who it is. Paxton Lynch, we have a quarterback coach now, so maybe Paxton Lynch will actually get to show his stuff and maybe put Mason Rudolph out of a job, or Duck Hodges. We'll see. Don't be surprised if Jalen Hurts here in the NFL draft falls to Pittsburgh and they snag him, just maybe take a flyer in the 3rd round. There's a lot of projections saying that Jalen Hurts is going to fall into the 3rd, so we'll see what happens with Pittsburgh's picks. I can honestly see maybe Pittsburgh trading back. So Cleveland's got a couple 3rd rounders, and we'll have to see what they do. So I have a feeling Pittsburgh's going to give them a draft pick just to move back 2 spots. I don't mean 2 spots. I mean move back, get 2 picks for the one that they're willing to give up earlier in the 3rd. Looking at the draft, let's talk about that. It's kind of projecting to be a little bit of a boring draft, I think, for Pittsburgh. They only have 6 picks, rounds 2, 3, 2 picks in round 4, rounds 5, and round 6. So only 6 total picks. I could see them, like I said, maybe trading back, giving Cleveland a pick, taking 2 picks a little bit later on, and trying to catch some people. I can honestly say they're probably going to address the O-line. I hope they address the O-line. Pittsburgh's offensive line is one of the oldest in the NFL. I think they have an average age of like 29.8 years old or something like that. The youngest guy on the line is 27. So I could see them maybe going after a couple guys for O-line. I could also see us picking up some defense. So we could definitely use a linebacker or 2, maybe a corner, and somebody to help out in the secondary. A little bit later on in the draft, let's take a look. Maybe rounds 5 or 6, they may take a running back with like their last pick. So we'll see what happens with that. I think James Conner is honestly going to be our go-to guy all season. Jalen Samuels coming in there, just kind of spell him a little bit, maybe a little more in the passing downs. I have a feeling that Jalen Samuels is probably going to take a little more of the 3rd down receiving load here, especially if Big Ben comes back. He likes to have that security blanket to throw to at running back. While we're on the topic of running backs, I don't understand all the James Conner hate. I don't get it. A lot of people say, oh, he can't stay healthy, he can't stay healthy. Well, that's what happens when you're a workhorse and you get run up the gut all the time. What are you going to do? The guy gets hurt. It happens. Every running back gets hurt. Most of them play hurt. There's a lot of fan hate out there for James Conner, and I just don't understand it. Like, I'm a big Steelers fan. I'm ready for James Conner to come out there nice and healthy. The guy wants to play. He wants to play hard. You'll play that hard, you're going to get hurt. So let's just hang in there. We want a guy that wants to play hard, and I think that's probably what we need to stick with. That's about going to be it for episode 1. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think we're going to do a longer episode, talk about the draft, maybe get some people in here. I'm going to take a look at some of the mock drafts and everything and see what people were talking about and who Pittsburgh's projected to take. I've been looking a little bit online, and it just seems like every projection has something totally different for this team. And I think defense and O-line is where we're going to wind up going. Some people are talking about a receiver. James Washington may not be the answer. And I have a feeling that we're going to hang on to James Washington. We get Ben back, and he's just going to be throwing the ball everywhere. So let's just hang on the receiver guys. All right, well, I think that's going to be about it for the podcast for the night. Keep it short and sweet. Like I said, I'm going to do a longer episode, hit the draft picks, and talk about what the Steelers did. I'm super pumped for the draft. So this Thursday, I'm going to be checking it out. That's whenever all the shenanigans get started. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, I think we're going to call that a pod. Y'all have a good night.